Good.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and this is a D&D session entitled The Masked Mage. And what this is this is a one-shot game that is a one-on-one. So it's a one-on-one one-shot. It's myself as a dungeon master and Barker here as the sole player character. And what this is going to be is it's going to be what I'm calling a Provokers Legacy session, which is essentially we're going to find out what the original Provokers are up to leading up to Provokers Bleak Wrath. So if you've watched session 1 of Provokers Bleak Wrath, this is sort of leading up to that. So we're going to do one of these for Dice. We're going to do one for Erenoth, and we're going to do one for Durgan as well. In that order, I think, is how it's going to work. So hopefully Nate and I can get the Erenoth one scheduled here in a couple weeks, and then the Durgan one shortly after that. So I'm going to toss it over to my buddy Barker here so he can do a brief introduction and reintroduce a character that we haven't seen in quite some time. Go ahead, Barker.
Awesome. Yes, everybody, my name is Barker. I run the YouTube channel Be a Better Game Master, and that is Mara Jade meowing at the door, and she has not been in one of these videos in a long time, so we'll cut her some slack. First of all, thank you for watching. This has been awesome. I'm super excited to be able to reincarnate Dice, whose character sheet is just plastered with stains and highlighter and pencil. All the blue highlighter is new stuff. I decided I'm going to do that blue. Before we get started, I just want to plug one thing. Tomorrow is the day that the first BrigadeCon 2016 countdown video is released, and it's released courtesy of Tabletop Terrors. So BrigadeCon 2016 is October 29th. You can go to brigadecon.org to get information, but definitely go to the RPG Brigade on Facebook, like it, and keep up with those countdown videos, because BrigadeCon is looking like it's going to be better than ever, and this countdown video project is always one of my favorite things. So check out the RPG Brigade. Keep your eyes on BrigadeCon, and we'll see you at the con.
Absolutely.
Now let's play some D&D.
Totally. Yeah, I'm really stoked for BrigadeCon. I'm going to be doing a countdown video as well. I can't remember which day is mine, but I'm looking forward to doing that. So let's get started
tomorrow.
Here. Tomorrow. Oh, okay. Well, I can't play. I have to film a video. So I'll see you later. Yep. If you could just run the session by yourself, that'd be great.
I will. I'll do it. It'll be a one-person narrative.
It'll be not a one-on-one. It'll be a 0-on-1. That's a dumb joke. That's dumb. All right. Let's get going here. Dice. The spider comes almost every night. You can't remember the last time it didn't visit you in your dreams. Tonight, the images in your head are fuzzy and vague, as they always are. You hear the laughter of Durgan. You feel Brasswick clap you on the back. You see the stoic smile of your friend Erenoth. It's strange that you would think of them tonight. You haven't spoken to or seen them in many, many years. But for some reason, the Provokers come to your mind tonight. You see Holly as she was when you last saw her. Just a child in ill-fitting armor, a helmet that was a little bit too big, a crossbow that she should not have been able to lift. Standing atop the walls of Falhast, firing down into the horde of barbarians. You see him. He's been dead for more than 15 years at this point. But not a day goes by you don't think of him. The Corruptor. You see him as he was, a twisted form, fused with his griffin, mutated and monstrous. You see that purple light escaping from his eyes and from his mouth as he screamed. And then the spider comes. Its web encircling you, its legs clawing at you. And as it does every night, the spider devours you. You wake, cold sweat dripping from your scarred face. The air in your room is hauntingly cold. It is frigid here. But that's the way you like it. Dice, as you wake from your dream, you see that it's not quite dawn. What would you like to do?
Dice wakes up to mist in front of his face from exertion of breathing out. Every time he breathes, fog crystals just expand outward into space. And he looks around him and, realizing the time, realizing he's perhaps late for something, I think. Maybe he watches the sunrise every morning from this certain point, looking over the Everfrost. And so he hurries to a chair at the corner of the room, sitting in front of a simple desk with just piles and piles of papers on it. And he reaches and grabs a Missourium staff, completely chrome silvered. And at the top of it, embedded in the top, is this Ioun stone. He has memories as he looks at the Ioun stone. He sees the eye of a beast looking to pounce a bestial cat, and but then it's back. It's just the Ioun stone at the head of the staff, and he thinks of his friends again, his old friends. He grabs the staff and he grabs his cloaks that he just sheaths over his body, and it's freezing here, and you have to do everything to stay warm. And he walks outside.
You leave your small personal chamber here in the deserted city of Quidel. Quidel once belonged to the Stone Giants when they ruled the mountains of Erenoth. It's built atop a mountain. It's built from the mountain. The buildings themselves are carved into the unyielding stone of the anvils. And as you said, the city overlooks the Everfrost. You make your way through this massive city. Everything here in Quidel is giant size. The hallways, the doorways. You constantly feel, because there's no scope of reference, there's no context for why these things are so big, you constantly feel as though you've been shrunk down, miniaturized, and you're just wandering through a normal sized city. But you know that at one point, many, many centuries, many, many thousands of years ago, that giants walked here. You make your way, your footsteps echoing hollowly against the stone, against these massive antediluvian structures. And soon enough, you reach the town square, and you see the flickering firelight of your only comrade here, the only other living being in Quidel. You enter her chambers and you see her hunkering over the fire, already awake as you are. You know that she is troubled by dreams as well. She is old. She was old when you met her, Dice. She is older now. Her face is like leather, lined and weathered. The lightning-shaped jackal bite on her left arm shimmers slightly in the firelight. Through the graying hair hanging in front of her face, she offers you a weak smile. She starts to speak to say your name, but then doubles over in a fit of coughing. And she motions to the tea brewing on the fire, asking you to bring her a cup to ease her cough.
As Dice grabs the kettle, you can see steam kind of burst from where he touches it. And he carries it over to her with a cup and pours the tea actually into this bowl. It's not a cup, it's more of a bowl. And he kind of helps her up and holds the bowl to her mouth and helps her to quench herself.
She sips the tea that has been brewed. It's strong, pungent smelling stuff. The herbs help soothe her cough and warm her lungs here. She takes a few sips and nods to you in thanks as she finds her voice. Couldn't sleep, I take it.
No, not for long. And what about you? Do you feel any better?
No, I think my days of feeling better are far, far behind me. It is hope enough to feel the same as I did, rather than worse.
I've been meaning to ask you. And he turns and you see the shimmering copper mask that is just completely plain, runes kind of swirling on the surface magically, adjusting patterns. Sometimes you vaguely see them shape themselves into eyes where eyes might be. And he looks at her and he says, "What do you think is on the other side of it?" And she knows that he's talking about the Everfrost.
As far as I know, nothing. In Dragongrin, the Bleak rages ever on in the far north. And we often wonder what lies beyond that bleak storm. Maybe there's nothing. Maybe there's Bleak. Maybe there's just unending, infinite cold and ice. Who knows what lies beyond?
Some of the others once told me that there were many worlds all connected, more than just here. They told me they had proof, but I haven't seen any yet. I'm afraid I probably won't.
There's time for you yet, Dice. She gets herself up, leaning on the table. You are young still. Though you've lived many decades, you have the benefit of elven blood. Not many have that luxury.
Well, most people enjoy that luxury mainly for the elven beautiful facial features, but we both know that I can't benefit in that regard.
That is true. But still, so many people talk about how when the time comes, you'll be ready for it. You'll be ready to pass on and tackle whatever comes next, but I feel like there's so much more, Dice. I feel like I've barely scratched the surface.
What will I do after you're gone?
You'll keep going. You'll keep exploring. The most important thing you're going to do, Dice, is you're going to take my copper and you're going to give it to somebody else.
Who?
That's not my decision. Just as I gave you your copper chunk, you'll have to find someone worthy. You'll be the only jackal here in Erenoth for some time, I'm afraid. There's no more Titan copper here that we've come across. You'll take mine in the way that I've shown you, and you'll find a worthy jackal to give it to. Someone strong, someone fierce, but most importantly, someone curious, someone willing to step beyond the bounds of worlds, as you do, Dice.
Oh, I'm afraid they might not like my personality much. Took me long enough to get along with you.
There is a bit of a wall there, certainly. But you are a good man, Dice. You have done more for me than I can say. And as I stare down the barrel of the end of my life, I know that I'm leaving my legacy in good hands. Damn if I wouldn't have liked to have seen Dragon Grin again. I'd really hoped I could have found a way home.
Dragon Grin, there you go again. These other places. Maybe someday I'll be able to go there myself.
We're close. We're very, very close.
Is it quite beautiful there?
Parts of it are, yes. The Dragon Grin as I know it, well, it's a troubled place. But it has its own sort of beauty, and there are areas of it unmarred by the shadow, or at least there was when I left. Who knows what state it's in now? Maybe it's better if I don't go back. We're close, Dice. We're close to unlocking how to do it. I managed to make it here quite by accident. But we'll find a safe way. We'll find a better way to travel the Bleak. There are many, many worlds out there. I saw glimpses of them in my voyage. I think that you will lay your eyes upon them, step foot on these worlds, Dice. I think you are destined to.
No, first I'm destined to give you some more tea. And yes. He does so.
And you fill up her little bowl, and as you do, you see that she's been writing some notes on her desk. Her scrawl is shaky, but you've learned to read it all the same. And there's a small diagram written there of this sort of archway. And it's sort of this tilting stone square archway. And there are notes written all around it. Underneath it, there's a label, Whispering Door. There are notes written, Safe Passage, ? Talmor, Falhast with an arrow drawn between them. Various notes of that nature. It looks as though she's been up all night writing in a frenzy. There's one word there that you've definitely never seen before. Athenaeum. It strikes you as an odd sort of word, an antiquated word.
Dice would, looking at the papers and the drawings and the notes, but speaking to Adea, up all night writing stories, are you?
Something like that.
What does this word mean? He points to it.
Athenaeum. It's a word I encountered in my travels before I encountered you, Dice. It's a place. Are you familiar at all with the Cabal of your world? It's an old mages guild, long forgotten.
I'm not sure if Dice would know, actually.
You can give me a Arcana or a History check if you'd like.
I absolutely will do that. I'm going to choose, well, either or. Okay, first roll of the night's a 3, so that's a 9.
The word sounds familiar, but you can't conjure up any sort of information readily about it.
Okay, yeah, and I think that makes sense with Dice. He's not been, readily around mages for his entire life.
Yeah, exactly. And most of your time in the last 10 or 15 years has been spent researching the Bleak rather than, history of Erenoth.
Exactly.
She says, the Cabal were a guild of mages in the past of this world. They were they were generally considered to be corrupt and power hungry. They kept the secrets of the arcane to themselves, employed slaves, things of that nature. They were toppled a long, long time ago and replaced by the Mages Guild in Falhast, which accepts pretty much everyone who's gifted. But they had a headquarters in Talmor, your home, Dice, called the Athenaeum. There was a door there. I'm not sure if it's something that the Cabal created or something they found.
I lived in Talmor. I've spent a night in perhaps every square mile of the place. I've never seen anything like what you're describing.
Many people think the Athenaeum doesn't exist. It's called many different names. You may have heard of a thing known as the Black Pyramid. And when she says that, you remember stories that you heard as a kid about the Black Pyramid out in the swamp and how it only appeared at certain times and it moved or it rose up from the ground under the full moon. But more specifically, you remember foolish old Bentley getting drunk one night and telling you that he had seen the Black Pyramid and he was convinced that he was right.
My memory flashes to Bentley's face just on the receiving end of Dice's fist and of his iron stone just shredding at his face. And his memory flashes again, and there's Bentley with false teeth, I don't know, maybe made of wood, in the areas where Dice had knocked his teeth out. And he says, so it's real.
You're asking Adia this?
Yes.
She says, oh, I don't know. I think it might be. I think portions of it might be. I know for a fact that the Athenaeum was real at one point, and that it contained an artifact known as the Whispering Door. I know this because there's another Whispering Door in Erenoth. It's in Falhast. It's in the Gyre archives. It's on display there. It's inactive. But when Falhast was a colony of Talmor, they used to use the Whispering Door to shuttle supplies back and forth and carry messages. It was an easy way for Talmor to stay in contact with a colony on the other side of a barren desert. But they haven't been working for, since the fall of the Cabal, many, many years ago.
And what do you think this has to do with us?
It's a harebrained theory. I think that maybe the Whispering Doors might tap into the Bleak. I think that it might use the Bleak as a way to bypass distance. We've talked at length, Dice, about the idea of not everything is point A to point B. Sometimes, and she reaches and picks up a piece of parchment, sometimes A and B can come together if you know what you're doing. I think that these Whispering Doors do just that. But again, it's merely a theory. I'm just grasping at straws, Dice. I'm getting
But you think this will help you get back to Dragongrin?
It's a distant chance.
Well, it's better than snow and ice.
It's much too distant, much too dangerous to take a chance on.
Why?
Well, if the Athenaeum is real, then it's been lost in the mists of Talmor for centuries at this point. I don't know what could be lurking in there. I don't know what the Whispering Door does or how to activate it. I don't know if activating the Whispering Door would destroy all of Erenoth. I don't know anything about it. So I think our time would be better spent staying here. I'm not sure how much time I have left, but there's still good work I can do studying the Bleak from afar.
Dice stands up and says, then I'll study it up close. I'll go. I'll find it. What if you're right? What if your notes are right? What if I find this thing? And what if you get back to Dragongrin before your so destined death comes? Why not?
I guess because the potential dangers just seem too great. But I'm an old woman. And you
are a strapping young man. And he stands up. And you kind of see in the runes a smile kind of curve on his mask.
Something like that. You're going to be the only jackal soon, Dice, and it doesn't serve me any good trying to tell you what to do or talking you out of something. You come and go as you please. And if you want to go to Talmor and find the fabled Black Pyramid and fight the Fey wolves that live in there that take children away from their beds at night, then by all means.
He pours some more tea into her bowl and says, kind of looks her in the face and says, I'll be in touch then. And then he says, into the Bleak, come what may. And he kind of puts his hand over his heart.
She repeats the words and tacks on, without compromise.
Synthera Compress. And Dice goes and grabs his kind of this big leather satchel that's just got all sorts of weird supplies in it, and walks out and begins his journey.
You do so, and waiting out on the balcony is a swoop. These winged gliders that you took to confront the corruptor, and you mount up on your swoop and dive off of the mountain, letting the chill wind carry you, and the ice sort of coalesces across the cold surface of your mask and in the remnants of your hair as you drop hundreds, thousands of feet and then pull up right before you hit the ground below, and Erenoth rushes beneath you. You travel for many days, walking, flying, resting when you need to. It's strange seeing the landscape of the north change so drastically as the miles fall beneath your feet. Ice and snow give way to hot spring plains, floodplains, riverlands, and soon enough, your boots sink into mud. Oh, the mud. You haven't smelled it or felt it in a long time, but you know as soon as your boot sinks in about up to the ankle that you're back in Talmor. Now, here in Talmor, you know that Bentley might know where the Black Pyramid is, Would you like to seek Bentley out?
That's exactly what he would do. He would, I imagine he might know of a tavern that Bentley would absolutely frequent. Or
Yeah.
do I need a roll?
No, I would say that you know immediately where he would be, because it's the same place that he used to frequent when you guys served together, and you can't imagine that it would be much different now if he's back in Talmor.
Okay.
So what is that tavern? What's it called, and describe it to me.
Talmor is in southern Verglas, right? So I
Yeah.
imagine that they have an accent that's distinct from their kind of brethren in Krieg. So I imagine it's called the Southern Drawl.
Southern drawl. I love it. What does it look like?
This place is actually built on stilts. The entirety of the tavern is on the second story. Underneath the tavern is in a massive, just almost like river bear parking lot. There are river bears everywhere. They're all tied up. There are people taking care of them and feeding them and such. And the patrons go up these 2 spiral staircases around the side, just massive, wide spiral staircases to the tavern above, which is kind of open air except for the nets. It's got mosquito nets all around it, but inside it there's like magical fans turning and stuff, and just people drinking Talmor ales and eating disgusting things, but slurping them like they're absolutely delicious.
Awesome. Yeah, when you arrive at the Southern Drawl, it's raining, of course. It's a storm when you arrive. Mist hangs heavy on the ground, and the rain just pummels you, soaking your cloak. A herd of river bears migrates downstream off to your right, and somewhere off to your left, maybe a couple miles away, you hear the croaky call of a bullywug, probably calling its comrades. You make your way up the stairs into the Southern Drawl, built on these stilts because it's built in the flood valley, this area that floods annually. It turns into a lake, essentially, and at some point during the rainy season, you have to take a boat or a river bear to get to this place because it's essentially over the water. When you get close, you hear the distinctive banjo-like music being plucked away from some 2-bit bard plying his trade. You hear muffled voices and the occasional laughter. You go up these creaking steps and push past the mosquito netting. And there it is, the Southern Drawl. The bard sits in the corner plucking away at a 2-stringed lute. There's a magicker in one corner, and he's creating an illusion in his hand, trying to impress this barmaid, but she's having none of it. And as you scan the crowd, your gaze falls upon an old man with a very familiar, if a bit ragged, face. He sits alone, cradling a wooden tankard of ale.
I think as Dice walks in through the mosquito netting, and he sees him, his old leader, and then became a mercenary leader, a petty pirate, and you see Frost just cling to the floor and spread towards where he's sitting at the bar and climb up the stool and climb up the bar up into his mug of ale as it just freezes solid and overflows over the top, but that freezes to the mug itself. And you hear the twang of this just detuned lute just kind of crackle and freeze over as Dice's cape just like billows in the wind of this storm that begins kind of gathering a little bit more speed outside. It is the monsoon season, but it is still unseasonably windy, and Dice gets his attention.
Yeah, you get everyone's attention The music stops as this lute detunes in the cold, and as Bentley sees his mug freeze, he goes, "Oh, hell." And he looks up and sees you standing in the doorway, and his eyes widen as he takes in this wizard. A wizard as they're described in the old tales, with a staff, flowing robes, and this shimmering copper mask inlaid with shifting runes. And as everyone's awe sort of wears off, the barmaid calls out, "Oi, Magicer, keep it under control, will ya? Trying to keep the damp out."
The ice begins to kind of drizzle away as Dice smiles to her, though she probably doesn't see it. The magicer that's doing the tricks, he kind of nods to him, but like almost as if, "Hey, I'm about to do a trick." And he looks behind the bar, and there's just this, like, I imagine 10-year-old bar back that is pouring drinks, and he's just looking at this massive meat locker, and it's just, he's just like holding this sheet of paper, this scroll, and he's pointing a wand at it and just trying to get it to do something. It's not working, and Dice just kind of motions his hand, and the entire meat locker freezes over, and the entire job is done, and all the meat is frozen. And the kid just looks surprised, and he looks at the wand like he did it, like, "Yes, I finally got it." And Dice sits down next to Bentley.
The magicer, by the way, as he looks at you and you nod to him, his illusion in his hand just fizzles, just as he witnesses real magic being cast, and he sort of just lowers his hand, and you see his shoulders kind of slump as he's like, "Oh." And as you sit next to Bentley, he sort of starts to get up as if he's about to leave.
Well, are you in a hurry?
Yeah, I was just going. Listen, if you hear about the money that I owe him, tell him I'll get him the money next week. I don't have it on me right now, okay?
I'm not here about your money.
Wait a minute. I know that damn voice. Dice, is that you?
He sees kind of a glimmer through the mask, and he sees Dice's eyes staring back at him. And he says, "This is about your information."
What the hell happened to you?
I don't think any of that matters now. And actually, then Dice looks around at just the miserable state that Bentley's in and says, "Actually, you know what? No, I could ask you the same question. What the hell happened to you?"
He kind of grimaces, and you see wooden teeth in his mouth. He slumps down in the chair, scratches at his ratty, ripped uniform, long faded, the same uniform that you used to wear, Dice, the one that got melted. And he says, "Oh, work's just hard to come by these days." He looks at his mug and kind of sees that the ale is still frozen, and he kind of like runs his finger along the top of it and licks some of the melted ale off of his finger. Ever since the clerisy moved in, there haven't been any mercenary jobs.
Well, that's easy. That means you have plenty of time for me. And Dice kind of pulls him aside to walk with him. And as they're walking down the stairs of this tavern, Dice says, "You know, a while back, you got drunk. You told me a story. You told me you saw the Black Pyramid."
Oh. I'm gonna have to be a lot drunker than I am right now to talk about the Black Pyramid dice. You got any silver?
Oh, are you kidding me?
No, come on, man. Buy your old commanding officer a drink. It's the least you could do after you knock my teeth out.
Yeah, I feel bad for that, you know.
Yeah,
I
I
do.
bet you do. So just, throw down a few silver cruxes and get me a drink.
Dice pulls out some money, hands it to him, and walks back up the stairs to the bar.
He follows and flashes a couple of silvers to the barmaid. She brings him a drink, and he sort of motions, and the two of you head out the balcony, and he kind of motions, and there's tables set out on the balcony, and he sits down in the chair, and he looks out at the swamps of Talmor, at that mist, and you see the fireflies dancing in the mist, their light sort of refracting through this fog, giving it sort of this weird, eerie kind of orange glow. And he says, what do you want to know about the Black Pyramid? That was 20, 25 years ago at this point.
Well, too long for you to remember where you saw it?
No, I remember exactly where I saw it. Never going back there again.
Why? What happened? That's exactly where I'm going.
Why? Why do you want to go to the Black Pyramid? There's nothing there except death and darkness and disease.
Let's just assume I want to satisfy an 8-year-old's curiosity.
That place is haunted. And I don't throw that word around lightly. You know, I'm not superstitious, but for real, it's haunted as hell. I saw it. I experienced it. I can't in good conscience tell you how to get there, Dice.
Listen to me for a second. And you sees the mask just unfold from Dice's face, and the scarred mass of flesh that Dice shows, and he says, I've stood up to a lot more than ghosts.
Go ahead and give me a intimidate check with advantage.
$22.
He scoots back in his chair. His drink sloshes over the side. By the Bleak, Dice. All right. Face like that, I'm more afraid for the things in the Black Pyramid.
He hears Dice's chuckle just kind of like as it becomes covered up by the mask as the mask returns.
All right. You know the Many Forks, series of rivers north of here?
Dice nods.
You go beyond the Many Forks, west of Grey Mist, about 6-7 leagues west of Grey Mist. That's where you'll find it. There's a head there, big head coming up out of the swamp. When you see that thing, you'll know you're close. Thing's always shrouded in mist. But if you see that head coming out of the water, you know the pyramid's nearby.
A head, like a statue?
I didn't spend enough time there to check, Dice. I just saw a head looming out of the mist at me, and I've never dug my heels so deep into my river bear sides. I got out of there quick as possible.
All right. Well, thank you for your time, Bentley.
Yeah, sure. What is it you need at the Black Pyramid anyway?
Dice kind of chuckles to himself and says, well, I'm not quite sure, to be honest. I feel like something's there that'll help me. And he pauses and says, I'll do my job.
Something that'll help you do your job. What is your job these days, Dice?
Dice kind of goes, ugh, like so many questions. And he says the following thing so dramatically, like it has to be fake. And he says, I'm researching extra-dimensional space, Bentley. I'm trying to find a portal to other worlds as a joke. And but obviously it's not a joke. But perhaps I assume it's not obvious to Bentley. Bentley's like, whatever.
He kind of just has this confused look. Right. Okay. Yeah. Hey, that's weird. He kind of is looking past you. Someone out there.
And Dice turns around to look.
You catch a glimpse of a figure in the mist, tall and lithe, humanoid definitely, and it's just kind of standing there in the mist. And you're not certain, but you can feel eyes on you.
Dice's hooded head kind of turns around and looks at this figure that he just barely probably sees, just a silhouette against the mist. And he raises his staff, which is just like perpetually covered in frost, this chrome metal. And the red iron stone at the end just kind of pulsates as he kind of stands and faces the figure.
As you do so, the figure sort of melds into the fog as it steps backwards, disappearing into the mist. Was that a friend of yours?
Did I recognize that figure at all, Matt?
Definitely not. But it gave you kind of an eerie feeling. And when it was looking at you, you kind of got this, it's hard to describe, but it's almost like an itch on the inside of your skull. Like an itch that you can't scratch. It reminded you of the feeling that you got whenever Mir's stone gaze would look at you with that damn stone eye of his.
Dice doesn't shake his head, but Bentley knows that the answer is no. That he doesn't know who it is. But Dice, could it have been Mir Stonegaze?
I mean, conceivably, but you're like, what would Mir Stonegaze be doing here in Talmor?
Yeah.
If anything else, it's someone that can do something similar to what Mir can. But that's just sort of like when you felt that feeling, you knew immediately like someone was messing around in here, similar to how Mir used to.
Well, I would have nothing to delay, so Dice will begin running towards the location to where this figure was, and he will go down the stairs and jump onto a river bear, because I imagine a lot of people kind of like ride the river bears like jet skis, like they're in the river and their legs are getting wet and stuff. But he jumps on one and begins just racing through the water towards where this figure was.
Okay, well, go ahead and give me. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Okay, cool. 11.
You see the figure moving through the mist. It's moving really fast, faster than you can run. It's running about the same speed as your river bear, but on two legs, and it's sort of bounding and leaping ahead of you. You see it, it keeps moving outside of your vision as it leaps further and further into the mist, trying to escape you.
Now, how fast can I fly?
On the swoop or with your spell?
Oh yeah, I have the swoop. I grabbed the river bear though, so
yeah.
With my spell.
That is a good question. I think the spell should say that it gives you a fly speed of blank.
Should hold on 1 second. Fly D&D 5e. Only there was a device that would allow us to look up this information instantaneously. Oops. 10 minutes speed of 60 feet.
Okay, cool. So if you use your fly spell, you can go real fast.
That's exactly what Dice is going to do. He just kind of leaps off the river bear as it reaches the opposite shore and begins flying towards this being.
Okay, perfect. Go ahead and give me another perception check if you would, please.
Okay. 19, much better this time.
You fly in the direction of this figure, and you finally catch up with it, or rather her. She appears to have given up the chase and is turned to confront you. She's standing knee deep in the marsh. She's tall and slender. She has an elf-like build, but her face it's just very strange. It's unlike any elf you've ever seen. It's almost fey, sort of alien looking. Her eyes are very large and slanted. Her nose very small. Her ears are particularly large. The sides of her head are completely shaved, and she has a braided mohawk sort of trailing all the way down her back, almost to her knees. Beneath the brown ratty cloak that she's wearing, she appears to be garbed in some sort of rippling bronze armor. And as you approach her, she cocks her head, and you see that her mouth is fused shut. It's like her lips aren't even there. It's just smooth scar tissue where her mouth should be.
Is she still running from me?
No, she has turned to confront you. She's just standing there.
I stop and hold up my staff in front of me. And I ask her, who are you? What were you looking at?
She cocks her head the other way. She's just kind of inspecting you. She starts circling around you, prowling like a cat, looking you up and down, Dice. Her strange, violet, silvery eyes just looking over every inch of you, noting your staff. In particular, she's interested in that staff.
Speak quickly.
I have no need for words. And her mouth doesn't move. Her lips fuse shut, but you hear her voice in your head, as loud as if she was standing right next to you. How did you come by a staff of Mitsurium, wizard?
Dice, for a moment, can't conceal his shock and surprise as he begins looking around him quickly to see where the voice is coming from, then realizes soon after that it's coming from inside his head. He holds up the staff even higher, and he says, why? What do you care?
Because you are not an elf of Haldrathine. How can you will the Mitsurium?
What do you mean, how can I transform it? Is that what you're asking me?
She nods silently.
I don't know. I've always been good with magic.
Let's see how good you really are. And I need you to give me an intelligence saving throw, please, Dice. The DC is 14.
Uh-oh. I got a 14.
14? Okay, so you met the DC.
Yes, 14. Yep.
Okay, cool. You feel something thrust against you. It's nothing physical, but you feel almost like a strong, concentrated gust of wind shove you back a few feet. She cocks her head as you manage to reflect her psychic attack. Interesting. Very interesting.
He kind of is pushed back into the mud, kind of like at a diagonal angle, but he's holding his staff up. And you see the runes on his mask just kind of focus into one central point, central like eye in the middle, as he's just fighting this attack. And once he repels it, he will kind of say to her, "Try that again," as if it's like a dare.
She says, "Now is not the time to fight. You must be on your way. You have an important task ahead of you." She takes a few steps back.
What do you know of my task? Who are you?
No one you need concern yourself with yet. She turns and bolts again into the mist, this time running even faster. There's a billow of smoke in her wake as she takes off, charging off into the marshlands.
I climb out of the mud, the muddy pit that I've kind of been embedded in, and think about how far away this destination is as I kind of catch my breath. And actually, he'll kind of remove his mask to get some fresh air.
Yeah, and you just... fresh air in the swamp means pretty noxious air.
Yeah.
But you take in a few gulpfuls, and even though you haven't lived in Talmor for some time, you still are used to that smell and that earthy, kind of muddy smell. But thinking about where Bentley told you the Black Pyramid, or the Athenaeum, as Adia referred to it as, it would take you probably a day or two to get there on foot. On a river bear or on your swoop, it would be considerably faster.
I was going to say the glider is what I would take.
Absolutely.
I would go there immediately, and I would. I like to think that Bentley is sitting there having his drink, and then he feels like this weird like gust of wind, and he looks, and there's kind of a few more silver sitting next to him.
And he kind of raises his mug to the sky, just like thanking you as you fly by.
Awesome.
You fly for quite a few hours over the marshy landscape of Talmor. By the time the many forks fall away below you, it's dawn. And the sun sort of rises, spilling its warm golden light over the swamps. You touch down just west of Grey Mist in this area that Bentley pointed you towards. You're not sure exactly where the Black Pyramid is, but you know you're on the lookout for a giant head of some kind.
Dice would remember his training in the Talmor Guard as he's swooping in and out of these the swampy, viney region and this mist, just trying to feel the arcane energy around him, looking everywhere he can for a head sticking out of the ground.
Go ahead and give me a perception check as you fly through
14.
14. So as you're flying,
I always forget that I have a perception of 0.
oh,
But I'm always looking. I'm like, oh man, damn it! I'm
I
always so
got
disappointed.
nothing. So you're flying, you're weaving through the vines, through the branches, and you almost run into it. A head looms out of the mist at you. And let me pull up a picture of it here.
Awesome. I'm eating all these pretzel sticks. All the pretzel sticks in the world are getting eaten tonight.
Eat all the pretzel sticks. That's right. All the pretzel sticks in the world are getting eaten tonight.
Holy mother of Jengas. That looks crazy.
This head half submerged in the water, wearing this headpiece that you've never seen the likes of, just looms out of the mist at you, and it seems to glare right at you, and you can see why, even though it's just a statue, you can see why Bentley would have turned tail and ran, seeing this in the mist.
Yeah. And I imagine that Dice is like face to face with it for a second. He begins looking around the mist to see if there's like a specific place where more mist coalesces than other places.
Yeah, it's definitely, the mist is thicker beyond the head, and you also start to find other pieces of the statue sort of sticking out of the water. You see a finger here, another piece of the head over there, a leg. You can tell that this statue at one time towered over the marshes, but at some point toppled over, and pieces of it were scattered for a mile in either direction from on top of this pyramid that you're supposed to be looking for.
Okay, all right. So I know that the pyramid is close to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Then I would try to start kind of flying everywhere, looking around at where it might be. I know I'm close, and I'm driven to find it.
You do so, and the mist gets thicker and thicker around you, and eventually another shape looms out of the fog, and you see this crumbling pyramid. It looks similar in architecture to the pyramid that you fought the corruptor on top of. But instead of being constructed of sandstone, it's built from the gray stone of Talmor. It's covered in leaves and moss and vines, sort of consumed by the swamp. The marshes sort of flood up to its stairs. But here it is, an object that you've been told ghost stories about your entire childhood. The Black Pyramid, the Athenaeum.
Dice, finding this thing, lands on it, or as close as he can to it, and while he's doing so, you see this just icy armor begin to just kind of cover Dice up to his shoulders, and it's kind of got this copper hue as he holds up his Miserium staff, and I don't know, begins looking around for some sort of entrance that he can find.
You walk up the stairs of this pyramid, and unlike the pyramid in Sonageist, this one appears to have a visible entrance. As you walk up the stairs, you see this archway set into the side of the pyramid. And
would you say the archway resembles the drawing that Adea had drawn?
It doesn't. It sort of is a different shape, and it doesn't have the same runes sort of scrawled along it. So even though the architecture of it is very similar, it appears to be a different archway.
Okay, cool.
Do you enter the pyramid?
Absolutely, he enters the pyramid.
You're like, no, I go back to the southern drawl, man.
Yeah, you know what? This whole I don't really care
I'm
about
just
this
not
dragon
feeling it.
grin
Adia's
place.
gonna die anyway. She doesn't care.
I don't know. Some compromise has always been my motto, you know.
Some compromise.
Little bit of compromise.
A little. You enter the pyramid and it is dark, but your dark vision kicks in a gift from your elven heritage, and you're able to see well enough. You walk through the moss-covered hallways and corridors, and you see a place that is of the past, a place that must have been quite a sight a few centuries ago. You see libraries with moldy books falling apart, illegible. You see crumbling statues depicting sort of harsh-faced men in robes wearing similar headdresses to the one of that statue. These must be the mages of the Cabal, those corrupt magic users that employed slaves and kept magic for themselves, using it to lord over non-magical people. You see more hints of their doing. You see pens, iron cages, stone holding cells, perhaps for animals, but more than likely, based on the shackles on the wall, you know that these were pens for people. You see runes drawn on the floor in various areas, places you can only assume are laboratories with stone tables and rusted tools. This was a place of great knowledge, great power. But Daish, you're a pretty empathic person, and you know that this too was a place of great suffering as you walk through.
There tends to be an energy around bloodshed and suffering that Dice has always noticed, and it took him a long time to realize it. I imagine that he has memories of his childhood watching people suffer on the side of the road, and he always seemed more interested in helping people who were maybe homeless. And that's because suffering gives off this aura that can be felt through the arcane. And Dice, even now, sometimes forgets that it exists, but he feels this energy through the shackles and through the floor that is stained just such a very slight hue of crimson where blood might have been stained in certain places, or experiments done by these mages of Cabal. And he tries to shoulder that feeling where once he used to hide it behind a mask. Now that feeling is what drives him. That suffering is just the lack of light, and you have to be and create light in order to defeat suffering.
As you shoulder that latent pain and negative energy that is embedded in these stones, embedded in this place, you continue walking through, and you enter a large circular room that has a skylight, sort of a long shaft going up to the top of the pyramid that allows light to come in. And you see that there are mirrors here, sort of reflecting the light in different directions, runes written on the floor. This appears to be a place where rituals were done. You see some odd-colored stains on the ground, sort of a dark burgundy color. You can only assume old blood spilled upon the stones. But you also, as you're walking, you sort of step, and as you do so, your boot kind of stays where it is. And if you look down, you see that your boot is sort of stuck in these strands that are almost invisible. They shimmer in the sunlight, but there's some sort of webbing across the ground in here. And as you look at the webbing and kind of look around, you see that the webbing is pretty much everywhere here, stretched across different objects, spread across the floor, draping down from the ceiling, all of it translucent, almost invisible if you hadn't ran right into it.
Do I recognize this webbing from my dreams?
You do and you don't. It definitely reminds you of your dreams, but there's something different about it too. Something otherworldly.
Otherworldly is good. That's what Dice knows. Otherworldly means he's on the right track. And so Dice will begin kind of trying to follow this webbing to its epicenter.
You do so, and as you do, you see that there are bones on the ground and creatures sort of caught up in the webbing. You see birds, rodents. You actually see the skeleton of a river bear caught up in this webbing. And as you're walking, looking, moving towards the epicenter of the webbing, something moves behind you, something that wasn't there a second ago. A pincer drives itself into your back. A sharp stabbing pain cuts through your armor, digging into your flesh. I need you to give me a Constitution saving throw, DC 11.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. It's +2. Are you kidding me? That's a natural 1.
Oh.
Oh, gosh. You know what? Do I start with inspiration?
You do. You can re-roll that. You have 1 point of inspiration.
Awesome. I will. Enough. Great. I'm gonna re-roll it with this new die. I'm tired of rolling low. Not here. Not now. That would be a 12.
Okay. There you go. You feel the heat of poison in your body as this stabbing pain enters your back, but you don't feel it take hold. You retain the strength in your limbs, and you feel the full weight of this creature that has attacked you from behind. Let's go ahead and roll initiative. Okay. This creature that you haven't quite been able to get a full glimpse of yet is going to attempt to grapple you. So give me a athletics or acrobatics, whichever is higher.
Okay, great. That will be athletics, and that, oh my gosh, 8.
Spider legs wrap around you from behind. These legs are not the black, hairy legs of the spider of your dreams. They are ghostly white, tipped with purple, pearlescent legs, wholly unlike anything you've ever seen, as these massive, multi-jointed legs wrap around you. It is your turn, Dice.
Dice, how much damage does he take from the poison again?
You don't take any because you made your saving throw.
Okay, cool. So none. Okay, awesome. Dice is going to try to kind of wriggle himself free of the spider's grasp, swinging his staff back and forth to try to maybe strike some blows to help him break free. So just athletics again?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is a natural 1.
Oh my god. So this
5.
This thing tightens its grip around you, holding you close.
Okay.
Another creature appears in front of you. Before it appears, you see a shimmer in the air, almost like heat waves. And then the image distorts, almost as if it's being viewed through bottled glass. And then in a puff of purple light, a massive spider appears in front of you. It looks at you with its multifaceted eyes. Its pincers click together, and it scuttles forward on its legs. I am rolling so well tonight, and I apologize.
No, man, it's all right.
The pincers bite into you, dice. 7 piercing damage, and give me a Constitution saving throw.
All right. Come on, let's do this. 20, not natural.
Okay, awesome.
Whew.
The spider currently grappling you also. Oh, this one clicks its pincers at you, and you manage to just kind of shift yourself, and the pincers click uselessly above your head. It is now your turn, Dice.
Okay, very cool. Dice, in front of him is this other spider, correct?
Yes.
He holds out. While I'm grappled, can I cast a spell?
You can, yeah.
Okay, because it doesn't require concentration or anything. So
cool.
He's just going to shift the staff forward, swing it outward, and this point, like right in the middle of the spider, this massive just ball of emerald kind of acid, just kind of tiny little bead of acid, and then boom, explodes outward in this vitriolic sphere. Each creature in the area in the 20-foot radius must make a dexterity saving throw. I'm pretty sure that includes me.
Yeah, I think so. Spider. Well, yeah, I guess so. I've never really encountered this before. Do you have to save for your own spells? Like if you dropped a fireball at your feet, would you blow yourself up?
I think I have to.
Yeah.
Because it's physical acid. And I imagine that it's like freezer burn, not acid, but like this
totally.
Icy.
Okay, so what is the DC for this save?
Okay, so the dexterity saving throw is going to be 16.
Okay, dexterity. So one of them makes it. The one grappling you does not.
Okay, so on a failed save, a creature takes 10d4 acid damage.
Okay.
And 5d4 acid damage at the end of its next turn. On a successful save, a creature takes half the initial damage and no damage at the end of its next turn.
Okay, so go ahead and roll for damage. And
okay, I got a 17, by the way, so I dodge it.
Cool.
But I still...
Yeah, you'll take half damage.
Okay, so this is the worst part where I have to... You know what? Forget this. I'm going to go into Roll20 and do that dice stream because these dice are failing me tonight, ladies and gentlemen. They are failing me.
Dude, I'm the Game Science Wormwood Tower combo. I'm getting 17s and 18s on these Game Science dice like mad.
Oh my gosh. It's so, okay, so okay, it doesn't add it up for me. That's all right. 3, 5, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 17, 20, 24 damage all around, and 12 for the one that made the throw.
Okay, yeah. So the one that's grappling you takes full damage, 24 acid damage, and then it'll take 5d4 on its next turn, right?
Yes. Yep.
And then the one in front of you takes 12 damage. Okay, awesome. There's a screech just fills the air as the acid splashes across these spiders. You see the acid eat into their hard chitinous carapaces, just eating away, and you see goo and ichor just spill forth from these acid burns. The spider in front of you shies away, sort of using its legs as a shield to hide behind, and the one that's grappling you immediately drops you as it realizes that the source of the pain is you. It drops you and scuttles backwards.
So someone in the chat mentioned sculpt spells, which I could have used to avoid myself, but I imagine that because I was grappled by the beast, I couldn't separate myself from it. It's almost like Scotty beaming up an enemy that's grappling you or something.
You're just like, you know what? I'm just going to burn everything.
Yeah, exactly. So now free. It's their turn now, right?
After you can still move though if you want to.
I'm going to try to move. Dice will look to his right and he sees like a tunnel going upward, and it's like very steep, and he's not entirely sure that the spiders will be able to get into it because they might be too big. So he's going to run towards that.
Okay, you do so. All right. The spider that only took half damage blinks out of existence. You see that shimmery air and that sort of mirrored, skewed vision, and then it's gone. The one that you burned with the acid scuttles after you, catching up to you in a few steps, climbing along the wall to catch up with you and landing in front of you. It strikes out with its pincers once more.
Awesome. And I believe it takes 8 acid damage.
Yes, it does.
From that's still going on it. It's all like...
what's your AC right now?
My armor class, right now would be 15. Oh, no,
15?
sorry, 16 because I have the Iron Stone.
16. Okay, cool. So the spider lashes out with its pincers, and you sort of put your staff in between yourself and the spider, and its pincers clack uselessly against the Missourium staff. You see venom dripping from it as it's trying desperately to reach you as the acid burns further through its carapace.
Awesome.
All right, your turn.
Okay. Dice, being at point blank with this spider that's just trying to reach him, he's going to cast Magic Missile at this spider. Sorry, all of a sudden I guess I decided to start dying. And I'm going to cast it actually as a level 3. So I'll get D6, 3 darts, or 5 darts at D4 plus 1 each.
Okay, cool.
So that, that would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points of damage at this spider. 17 total because plus 1. Points of right at the 8 eyes of the spider, and you see the magic missile just reflect in all 8 eyes at once as this just massive pop of energy happens inside this tunnel.
And it kills this spider outright. So you can go ahead and describe what it looks like as it dies, getting hit with this massive amount of arcane energy.
I imagine that it starts in the eyes as the spider just slowly, just as it's reaching outward toward Dice, stops in midair as its body just freezes up in this icy cold energy. And then Dice shoves the Missourium staff through the spider. It busts through the entire carapace, the frozen carapace, through the other side of the spider's head, and the entire icy statue of a spider crumbles around the Missourium staff into just millions of shards of ice.
Awesome. Awesome. Point of inspiration, man.
Oh, he gave me another one. I was wondering if I'm honest. No, it's good.
I was waiting for it.
I was waiting.
Let's see here. In the tunnel that you're sort of heading down, at the end of it, you see that shimmer again. The spider stands there, smoke coming from the acid that's burned its carapace, and it scuttles towards you. It takes to the ceiling, leaping above you, and it leaps down on top of you, attempting to shove you down to the floor and knock you prone. So it is making a shove attempt against you. So I'll need a athletics check, please.
Well, when push comes to shove.
Ooh, he did not roll very well. There's the.
I didn't either. I got a 9.
All right. Well, he didn't. He got a 6 total. So the spider comes down on top of you, trying to drive you to the floor, and I imagine you just kind of like just dove out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. Almost like supernaturally shift out of the way.
Yeah, you're just like, and the spider just kind of collides with the ground next to you, and then it immediately swivels to be facing you. It is now your turn.
Dice will hold up his staff, which now the Iron Stone is just glowing red hot, and he is going to keep it simple, I think. And can I tell what this thing is? Have I ever seen anything like it?
If you want to give me an Arcana check, you absolutely can. It won't even take up your action.
I'd love to do that. Oh, I rolled a 16 plus 6 is 22.
These are phase spiders. You've heard of them before. You've actually studied them in your research with Adia about the Bleak. These spiders can blink out of existence and then immediately will themselves back into existence. And you're not really sure how they're able to do this, but you've actually experimented with phase spider carapace, trying to build a suit of armor that can pass through the Bleak unscathed. So you're pretty familiar with these guys.
Okay. All right. Cool. So Dice knows the threat that awaits, and he, out of his staff, almost the entire thing, drawn to it are these shards of spider that just kind of are closing in on it, and then kind of surround the region and begin spinning faster and faster and faster and faster as in this cloud of spider-made daggers that begins cycloning around them and sculpting over where Dice is. Basically, in this cube, 5 feet on each side, the creature takes 44 slashing damage when it enters the spell's area for the first time. And I'm going to cast it. It is actually usually a level 2 spell. I'm going to cast it as my second level, spent level 3 spell. So that will be 64. Sorry.
No, it's all good.
Oops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15 slashing damage from this spider's former brethren's frozen body.
I love that you're using the parts of the spider to hurt it. That's so awesome. Yeah, the shards just shred into this thing. They puncture one side and fly out the other, and the spider just writhes in pain, scuttling backwards, trying to avoid this damage that you're pummeling it with. It is its turn. You see again the air shimmer in front of you, and the spider is gone. The spell continues torrenting in front of you.
After a brief period of just chaotic, deafening noise of the storm, it stops almost immediately, and pieces of now dust just kind of float to the floor, and silence falls.
And the spider doesn't reappear again. You wait for a few seconds, maybe even a minute, waiting for it to pop back into view, but it doesn't. It's just you and your breath and your heartbeat echoing here in the hollow pyramid.
And Dice mutters the word coward.
You wuss, spider. Wussy spider.
You wuss. But I think Dice would go back to searching around the pyramid, but be always on guard after tying up where the pincer had got him.
Yeah, you bandage it up and you continue on through the pyramid, moving deeper and deeper inside of the Athenaeum. Eventually, you make your way so deep within it that there's no sunlight anymore seeping through the stones, through cracks or crumbling holes. The air is very close here. There's no fresh air down here. And the stone is so oppressive that there's not even echoes anymore. The sound is so insulated. You can hear your breath. You can hear your heartbeat down here. You continue moving through the pyramid, and soon enough, you find yourself in a room dominated by a stone archway. The archway stands in the center of the room. It doesn't lead to anything. It's sort of this monolithic structure etched with these strange runes. The architecture of it is very similar to the pyramid itself, almost as if the pyramid was built up around this thing. You appear to have found the Whispering Door, Dice.
Dice approaches the Whispering Door, knowing full well what it is, and he sees how it does look like this entire temple or this shrine was constructed to conceal or pay homage to or showcase this thing. Is there like a portal or a shimmering kind of thing in the doorway, or is it just kind of like an archway?
The archway appears completely docile and inactive. There's no apparent magic around this thing, but as you draw closer to it, you hear voices that seem to emanate from all around you. Whispers in strange languages, distant echoes. You can't make out any words. But then you hear a familiar voice, well, somewhat familiar to you. At first you think it's the voice of your wife, a voice you haven't heard in about 20 years at this point. But it's not your wife. No, you realize it's Holly. There's no statues of them, she's saying. Just those four.
Do I recognize her voice, but as Meredith's? But then I realized, oh no, that's actually her.
Yeah, you definitely realize that it must be Holly.
Then Dice would immediately run up to the archway, and you hear his staff just kind of clang, clang, clang on the ground as he runs up to it and begins yelling Holly's name.
She can't hear you. Yell all you want.
When I hear the voice, again, almost supernaturally, Dice reaches out and his staff just collides with his hand as he waves it around. Show yourself. You followed me here. How? Show yourself.
She steps out of the darkness. So this is the Whispering Door. Long have we searched for the other. Thank you for leading me here. You can go now.
I don't think that's going to happen, and neither do you.
I wanted to give you the chance. Know that you had the chance when I kill you. She brings her hand up, and from her gauntlet, you see Mitsurium, liquid, drain from the gauntlet and then harden into a curved blade the size of a longsword. She does the same on her other gauntlet. She stands there with two liquid metal blades. Come then. Let us finish this. Let's roll for initiative.
Oh, awesome. Dude, I'm shaking in my boots. I'm going to be honest right now. I'm afraid. Especially with the way I've been rolling. Like, oh my gosh.
I know, and the way I've been rolling.
I got a, yeah, no kidding. I got a 13 initiative.
Okay, you actually did better than her. Cool, so you will go first, Dice. So she's standing probably 10 feet away from you. She has sort of shed her cloak, revealing the full majesty of this coppery armor that she's wearing, and these blue, silver, mercury blades that have coalesced out of her gauntlets. What would you like to do?
Dice will immediately hold up his staff, and the entire room almost instantaneously around where she is standing in this 4-foot radius just immediately freezes. Just poof, like all of a sudden, like you hear rocks crumble a little bit from different walls because they've frozen too quickly and are now compromised in a way. But the floor becomes just doused in this ice, this slick ice. And when the creature enters the spell area for the first time or starts its turn there, it must make a dex saving throw. On a failed save, it falls prone. And if a creature is concentrating in the spell's area, which it's not doing. So, but if it is concentrating in the spell's area, it must make a con saving throw or lose concentration.
All right, she got a 19 on her dex save.
Dude, it's the dice tower, dude. It's the dice tower, man. Stop using it.
It's the dice tower.
It's so good. No, yeah, she's her fey magic, I imagine, is so powerful that wherever she's walking, this ice just like parts from her.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Awesome, dude. All right. Anything else on your turn? Any movement or anything like that?
Dice would just kind of prepare himself for any mental attacks, I think. Try to mentally prepare himself.
She charges forward, moving imperceptibly quick. She's in front of you in an instant, 2 steps, it seems like. It's almost like she's like moving in sort of quick teleportive bursts, and she's in front of you, and her blades are whistling through the air in front of you. Whew. You are dodging and parrying with your Missourium staff. They ting, ting. She swipes again with her left hand. Again, oh my God! Now here we go. Her
good.
Her blades just ting, ting, just right off your Missourium. It's you're relying solely on your reflexes at this point because she's so quick. She's just in front of you and swiping, swipe, 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 and you're just barely parrying all of it. It is now your turn.
Dice is parrying back and forth in like a Darth Maul fashion, just kind of like spinning the staff around. And then he brings it up, and with the center of the staff, he brings it up to her jaw. And as it strikes, he casts Shatter, and this massive sound can be heard just impacting off of her jaw as she makes a Constitution saving throw.
She fails. That's a natural one.
Okay, so she takes 10 thunder damage.
What does that look like going off?
It looks, the entire room, all of the ice that was in the room just explodes outward, and some of these, like, I would imagine, you know what? A column collapses in the room.
Ooh, yeah.
Probably a column above us.
Yeah, debris falls from the ceiling, clattering on the floor. You see the Whispering Gate sort of shudder on the floor as these pieces of debris fall all around it. She shakes her head from this attack and swipes at you again. Oh, man. It's catching up with me now.
Yeah.
There we go. There's a hit. She swipes, she parry. She sort of figures out your movements, figures out your defenses, and comes in with a feint from the left, driving the shorter of the 2 blades into your gut, dealing 7 slashing damage as she cuts across with this Missourium blade.
Yikes.
You notice, too, that as, you know, you've heard steel against steel, you've heard steel against Missourium, but the sound that Missourium hitting Missourium sounds, the sound of it is unlike anything else. It has this deep resonance that just rattles in your bones and sort of sets your teeth on edge. And you imagine that if there were any glass in the room, it might even shatter glass. That's how strange this sound is. She then sort of sidesteps and ducks beneath your staff, swiveling herself to be behind you. It is now your turn.
I want to try to do something a little weird. She's going to shift behind me, and I am going to Dice's staff. He wants to try to make it so Dice's staff immediately changes into a spear and faces kind of the direction behind him so he can grab it and shove it backward into her. But that would involve changing the Missourium's quality, and I'm not entirely sure what that would take.
I pulled an 8. I was muted. That's so awesome that you can just do it.
Awesome. I'm going to pull an 8 too. No, I'm just kidding.
Perfect. So yeah, you can now make an attack with that spear.
Yeah, that's absolutely what happens then. That is a natural 20.
Oh,
so
Girl, awesome.
I don't know what the damage is for a spear though.
So a spear, I believe if you're holding it with 2 hands, it's a 1d10, but let me double check that.
Okay, cool.
I just gots to check. I can never remember if it's...
I just like that idea that music plays while we wait. Oh yeah, someone asked, did I level up? No, I became a copper jackal. And
it is 1d8 if you're holding it with 2 hands.
Blast. Okay, 1d8. Okay, that would be an 8 total. Because that's 7 plus 1. Because that's just my strength mod.
And then doubled for the crit.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. So 16.
Perfect. All right. So the spear, you sort of anticipate her movement as she swivels behind you, sort of like a boxer where she has her swords up and she sort of ducks low and sort of just shifts on her feet to get behind you into your blind spot. But you sort of anticipate that, and your sharp point melds on the bottom of your staff. You stab backwards and you feel it slip into the flesh of her side. And your ears kind of ring as her scream of pain echoes in your head as her mouth is fused shut. She's going to retaliate with a psychic attack. I'll need you to make an intelligence saving throw, please. DC 14.
Right, DC 14.
Mm-hmm.
I rolled a 16 plus 3 is 19.
Awesome. Okay. So you again feel that tickle in your mind, and then for an instant you have a crippling migraine. Like you're blinded, your ears are ringing, but you shake it off, and her attack is useless against you as she tries to attack your mind directly. You see frustration contort her face as her attack or psychic attacks against you fail. She then takes a couple steps backwards and gets into a defensive stance, sort of identifying you as a real threat now. It is your turn, Dice.
Dice leaps forward, kind of spinning around as he does, holding his staff out, as the Iron Stone is now rotating around the spear end, and it becomes locked actually in the center of the spear, or of the staff, as the staff begins to take a new shape. On Dice's mask, you see the runes are forming patterns of facial tattoos of a friend long gone as the staff forms into a beautiful elven-shaped longbow, and a Missourium arrow is loaded as he attempts to fire this arrow at his enemy.
Dope.
The Missourium turns into a Tarash, and
it turns into a Gatling gun, and I fire at her.
Oh my gosh! So I don't know. Okay, so 14 plus 2 is 16. I don't know what the AC is.
Her AC is 17. So the
nuts.
Arrow bounces off of her armor, this coppery armor that she's wearing.
Awesome.
Any movement or anything else?
I imagine my movement was jumping away from her and spinning around.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. So, oh boy, my neighbor's motorcycle is home, everybody. Okay. So,
he's got to rev it before he turns it off, man.
Exactly. Or in this case, rev it before he turns it off for some reason. I'm not really sure what that's all about, but...
No, that's what I said. That's what I said.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He's like, oh man, my neighbor's streaming. I'm gonna crank it up.
My neighbor's streaming. That's what I'm gonna think of that every time he gets home.
Good.
Oh boy. All right, I'm gonna mute here for a second.
I don't know why your neighbor's from King of the Hill.
Okay. So she gets this very intense look of concentration on her face. Her eyes, which are already sort of this strange silvery violet color, flare and glow as she again blinks forward. She's in front of you in an instant, and At this point, her blades are so quick that they're a blur. She is gaining an extra action this turn. She hits once, twice.
Great.
3 times.
Ah! Yay.
Dealing a total of 21 slashing damage.
Oh God.
She just before you can even recoil from one slash, she's already slashing with the second blade. Blood, crimson, just flowing down the polished surface of these Mizurium blades that she's driving into your flesh. It is now your turn.
Dice, perhaps too late, casts Blade Ward. Most definitely too late.
Could have used this a turn ago.
Yep.
Let me tell you about Blade Word. It's never there when you need it.
No, let me tell you that right now. But you vaguely see the sign of a symbol kind of appear in the midair that Dice draws with his hand. A symbol made of Mizurium dust, and he now has resistance to blade attacks and things like that. But he is going to attempt to get away from her for now because he is absolutely hurt.
Okay, yeah. So you're backing away from her as much as you can.
Yes.
And so
I'm
that
gonna keep an eye out for any like environmental things that might help me.
Okay, cool. And that blade ward basically gives you resistance to blade attacks.
Yes. Any let's see really quick. It says bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing.
Oh, okay. So just any non-magical damage, basically.
Yep.
I like how my mime for blade attacks is this.
That's it. That's the world.
Yeah, I said this gives you resistance against blade attacks. So that's perfect.
I thought that got you resistance against watching Drumline.
That's dumb. That's dumb.
It's so good though. It's really good.
It is. So Dice is you're sort of actively looking for anything that you can
like pits in the ground, archway stuff.
Yeah, you can like let's see here. There's like stone tables and stuff that you can kick over to try and put something between you and her. So here's the thing, because you're on your own, there's nobody here that can do the help action for you. So I'm going to say that if you use a turn to give yourself the help action, you get advantage on your next attack roll, essentially.
Okay, cool. So I think I'll do that. I think that's probably the best idea.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. Then yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'm gonna use the help action to like simulate me finding pillars and stuff to duck behind and stop her blades. As it's not just my Mizurium staff which has regained itself. That's defending myself. Actually, no, my Mizurium staff is laying over there as a bow currently.
Yeah.
But he's using the environment around him to parry these attacks.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. Okay. As you are sort of utilizing the environment to avoid her attacks are bouncing off of these stone pillars and stuff. And she's actually, you throw a table in her way and she slashes at it and it slashes it clean in half. You topple a pillar and she just slices through it with this blade and she's like relentless, just charging after you. And she again attempts to attack your mind. I'll need an intelligence saving throw, DC 14, please.
Okay. Dude, I'm due to miss one of these. A 12, I got a 15, so not this time. Man,
again, you feel that.
Yep.
That migraine that just takes over your mind for a split second, and you shake it away. You have an iron will, my friend. It is now your turn.
Okay.
So on your next attack against her, you have an advantage since you used the help action.
Okay, great. I am going to cast Magic Missile at her.
Magic
using. Yep. I've used all my level 4s and level 3 spells, but I have one more level 2, and I'm going to use that to cast Magic Missile as a level 2, giving me, I think, an additional dart. So that would be 4d4 plus 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 points of damage as my magic missiles. I'll imagine I didn't have a staff. I imagine I used my hands, and that my hands just blacken with freezer burn, just energy as his gloves just kind of freeze off, and you see his hands begin to turn red and even black with this frostbite as he's casting the spell out of his hands.
It's like classic session 1 dice, casting spells without the staff.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Casting druid spells on accident.
Yeah. And that what was it? Heat metal? Was that what it was?
Yeah, it was heat metal. I mean,
yeah. That was
it didn't even work. The dude swung at me with heated metal.
He did.
It was awful.
So these attacks slam into her. A couple of them sort of glance off her armor, but they make her sort of stumble backwards as these icy shards sort of slice through her skin. You see that she's bleeding from several different cuts at this point, but she's relentlessly stalking forward after you. And you hear her voice in your head. Why do you resist? Give in to death. Give us what we want. You are no longer necessary. And she continues to attack you. Oh,
what is it?
That's a 20 on the red on the old red D20 there.
Oh, this might be it, man. Here we go.
20. So that will be 16 slashing damage.
Okay. So you see the Missourium mask, or excuse me, the copper jackal, the Jackalbite mask just kind of like peel to one side as Dice kind of crumbles to his knees with his hands just like orating this freezing energy. I've dropped to, you said 16 points, so I've dropped to -9 hit points.
As you fall, your hand falls upon the whispering door, and you sort of slide down it, and you leave a trail of blood on the whispering door as you fall in front of it, fall through it. You're sort of within the archway at this point. The runes glow to brilliant life on the whispering door as your blood slicks down it. The elf woman with her blades stands over you, Dice. And everything slows. You see her rear back with the blade, but then everything slows to almost a standstill as you see her driving the blade towards you for a kill shot. The door blazing brilliant purple around you. You see so many things, Dice. In that moment before the blade strikes, you see your wife. You see the river bear. You see Talmor, your homeland. You see Adia drinking her tea, sitting alone in the city of Quidel. You see a pale-faced woman with black eyes and a massive sword wreathed in purple black flame. You've seen her before. Hello, Dice.
I look around myself and see what I can see in my immediate environment.
There's nothing around you but blackness. You can't even see the floor you're standing on. You experience severe vertigo as you realize you can't tell which way is up. She's standing in front of you.
Dice looks up at her, still on his knees, and says, "Is this it? Am I dead?"
I'm not sure.
What do you mean you're not sure?
You're in the Bleak, Dice. You've been here before. I saw you once, 15 years ago.
How could I forget?
She paces back and forth. You have to let me out, Dice. You need to let me out. I can't be in here anymore.
Let you out of the blue? That's not going to happen.
You need to do what he failed to do. He barely got the door open before you shut it in my face.
Nah, he was weak.
He was
You couldn't see.
weak. On that we agree. Dice, he was a disappointment. But you're something else.
What am I?
Something different. Someone who understands magic, but you see Erenoth for how it is. You see the festering wound that it is, and it needs to be cleansed. It needs to be purged. Dice, I'm just the one to do it. You have to let me out of here. You have to open the door, and you have to let me out.
Good friends of mine were hurt shutting the door. I don't even know how to open it, but even if I did, I would happily lock it from the outside and rot inside here with you for all eternity just to see you not get out.
She brings her face within inches of yours. Fine. I should have known that you would be weak like him. Maybe I'm going about this all wrong. If you won't open the door, maybe Holly will. Yeah. Maybe she'll open the door.
Dice will look up for just an instant, and you hear just kind of this shrieking high-pitched sound as the moisture in the air begins to freeze. And he runs forward and swings his staff at this being, this goddess.
As you swing your staff at her, your staff sort of passes through her. She becomes smoky for a second and then coalesces again. She turns and she reaches and she grips your throat with her hand, and she just lifts you off the floor as if she were picking up a feather. I appreciate your fervor. I appreciate your spirit. But you cannot harm me. Not here, not anywhere. She drops you to the floor. You will stay here with me, Dice, and you will watch as I make your daughter open the door. She hates it here, Dice. She sees the world for the violence and the darkness and the glorifying of heroes. She resents you, Dice. She resents all of you and your little friends.
She's an adult. She's allowed to resent what she wants.
She's going to open the door and let me out, Dice, and you're going to watch me do it.
I don't believe you.
Believe it. Get comfortable, Dice. We're going to be here for a while. And as she laughs, you see that it's not complete darkness around you, Dice. The darkness is writhing. The darkness is alive. You are surrounded by dragons, writhing in the darkness of the Bleak, waiting patiently for the door to be opened. She looks at you, Dice, this goddess, this pale-faced, dark-eyed goddess. She says, "There's nothing you can do, Dice. There's nothing you can do." I'd like you to just give me a straight charisma roll, please, Dice.
Okay. $14.
You picture Holly in your mind, and she's there. She's standing in a room with other people. You don't recognize any of them. She's so much older, but she's unmistakably Holly. She looks so much like her mother. But she's she's tough looking. She's wearing armor, carrying this huge crossbow. She's standing in this room and looking around. It's almost like you're looking through a window at her, but she can't see you.
I would try to say her name, but it would only come out as like a whisper.
She looks right at you. You see her move towards you, and she seems to be, if you're looking through a window, she's inspecting the window frame.
And I would say the words, "You can't." No. I would say the words, "The gate must stay shut." And I would just repeat it over and over and over again, as much as I possibly could while I could remain in this realm.
And she looks right at you, Dice. Not at you, but through you. She had this weird look on her face. She heard you. Holly heard you. And that is where we will end our session.
Awesome. Dude, cool.
That was so much fun, man.
I loved the Miserium Blades fight. I loved the parrying. I loved imagining the Miserium changing weapons. Oh my gosh,
That was so dope. I love that you changed the staff into different weapons. That was really, really cool. I hadn't really thought of doing that. That was perfect.
It occurred to me that was one of the, I was just talking about this the other day. I was watching The Matrix, and one of the things I never liked about Matrix 2 or 3 is that, you know, you're in the Matrix, and you know you can do anything because you're the one, and okay, we're just gonna fight again. I get it. Okay,
right,
cool.
Right.
But one of the things I was like, man, if I have a Miserium staff and it can transform into anything, I mean, I'm gonna turn this thing into bows. Like, Dice is experienced in this. Dice has done this stuff. So
yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. I love that. That's something
I'm actually. Oh, go ahead.
I'm definitely going to play with that with the Haldrathine elves, like being able to create different weapons using the Miserium. I think that's really cool.
That would be sweet. I I'm actually at -1 hit points because I think the resistance to blades.
I thought about that afterwards, but I was in too deep and couldn't say anything. So I'm glad that you were still 0 hit points.
Yeah, I was still at -1.
Because as I was describing, like, oh, you're in the Bleak and stuff, I'm like, oh shoot, he had resistance to slashing weapons. I hope he's actually dead.
Yep.
Awesome. Good. I'm glad that you were dead, dude. I'm really, really glad that you were dead.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. That was awesome, man. Thank you so much for running this. This is great. And we can pick any day next week. What date do you want? Because we have an upcoming game where I am running a game for Matt called The Winds of Sursaline, Orin's Journey. And it's basically his original journey through the Feywild that begins in Erenoth, actually, at the Wayward Wanderer. So should be a 2.5 hour game, pretty quick, I think, and very high action. I'm really excited for a lot of the action sequences.
Why don't we do a week from today? We'll do next Wednesday.
All right, next Wednesday sounds great. We'll mark it down at Wednesday, September 5th at 7 p.m. Pacific, because that's the earliest we can do it.
Okay, cool. And October 5th. October 5th.
Oh, that's what I meant. Yep, October 5th.
Awesome. I'm excited for that, dude. That was perfect. Oh, and this game ran a little over 2 hours. That's perfect. I was really hoping we wouldn't run too late. So that's
great. This was awesome, man. This was a blast. Thank you so much for letting me. Thanks for letting me like narratively take over.
Oh, dude, absolutely. I love that. And yeah, thank you for letting us see a little bit of dice here in between campaigns.
It's gonna be awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by and hanging out with us tonight. We had a great turnout for sort of an impromptu weeknight game. Appreciate everyone stopping by and enjoying, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone. Take care, and happy gaming all.